Hi guys, I'm Sam. Welcome. So today we're going to be doing the grade 12 Life Sciences paper 1 from November 2023. This is from the Department of Basic Education in the Republic of South Africa. Okay, so on our first page we have the instructions and information. I'm just going to go through them with you. This is very important to pay attention. Read the following instructions carefully before answering the questions. Number 1, answer all the questions. So it goes without saying that if you are feeling more confident with certain questions, you start with those, but you definitely attempt when you've got enough time at the end of the exam. You definitely want to attempt some of the other questions that you may not be feeling as confident about, just because you can pick up a few extra marks. Point 2, write all the answers in the answer book. Make sure you're writing in the book that they provide. If you're permitted scrap paper and you've been doing some things on scrap paper, don't forget to double check that you've written everything into the actual answer book and that you haven't left stuff on the scrap paper. Point 3, start the answers to each question at the top of a new page. This is a no-brainer, but it's quite easy to sometimes forget. So what's really nice about this is that you can answer the questions in any order that you like. So if you feel you want to start with question 2, and that's what you feel the best or more confident about, then that's where you start. You have to write at the top of each new page the question, and you have to make sure, according to point 4, that you number the answers correctly, according to the numbering system used in the question paper. This is essential, because if you get a number wrong, even if you got the right answer, you're going to get 0. Point 5, present your answers according to the instructions of each question. So it's essential that you read each question very clearly. Number 6, do all drawings in pencil and label them in blue or black ink. So if you are required to draw any diagrams, keep them neat and tidy, not a lot of scribbling and scratching, and please don't label them in pencil. Make sure you use ink for the labels. Number 7, draw the diagrams, the tables, or the flow charts only when asked to do so. If you do that because you think it's a good idea but it wasn't asked for, you'll get 0. Point 8, the diagrams in this question paper are not necessarily drawn to scale, so don't let that throw you off. Number 9, do not use graph paper. And number 10, you must use a non-programmable calculator, protractor, and compass where necessary. Obviously, it goes without saying, write neatly and legibly. If your spelling is a little off, well, it's not an English test, but you really have to write neatly. Remember that the people marking your papers have got like a ton to get through. It's exhausting when they're trying to decipher your higgledy-piggledy-squiggledy. So please write neatly. That really helps the person marking and makes their lives a lot easier. I just want to add an emphasis to point number 10, where it says write neatly and legibly. I did make a comment about spelling. That refers to just basic English. You do have to spell the biological terms correctly. So please pay attention to those when you are doing your studying and your revision. English words, not a train smash, but if you spell biological words wrong, there's every likelihood that you're not going to get a mark for it. Okay, at the outset, as I get ready to read the questions, I just want to apologize, guys, for the layout. Some of it is a bit smaller and bigger, etc. I copied in and just pasted from when I downloaded it, so I do apologize. We'll just have to get through it as is. I'll try and do better for paper 2. Okay, so the first section, section A, is going to be multiple choice. We start off with question 1.1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question numbers in the answer book. Example 1.1.11D. So for question 1.1.1, which one of the following parts controls the amount of light entering the eye by influencing the size of the pupil? A, sclera, B, cornea, C, retina, or D, iris? The answer is D, iris. 1.1.2, the function of the umbilical vein is to transport A, carbon dioxide from the fetus to the mother, B, nutrients from the fetus to the mother, C, carbon dioxide from the mother to the fetus, D, nutrients from the mother to the fetus. The answer is D, nutrients from the mother to the fetus. So what I want to tell you at this juncture is that if you're stuck on a multiple choice question, these should not take very long. You should get through these quite quickly. But if you're not quite sure, one way of looking at it is to eliminate the thing you know is definitely not correct. So just put a little line through it if you're stuck. Maybe you can eliminate one or two and then you get a choice between two. So that just lowers your chances of getting it wrong if you're going to do a guess. But for the multiple choice questions, don't spend a lot of time on this section. I do recommend starting with this section, but don't hover. If you're stuck, just move on, because you're always going to come back to this at the end of your paper. You want to move on to the parts that require written long answers. So keep moving. 1.1.3. The diagram below represents the events that occur during the homeostatic control of blood glucose. The level of glucose in the blood decreases, which leads to gland X detects the change, which leads to the level of hormone Y increases, which leads to the level of glucose in the blood increases. So which one of the following represents gland X and hormone Y? A, it's pancreas and glucagon. B, pituitary and glucagon. C, pancreas and insulin. Or D, pituitary and insulin. The answer is A. X is the pancreas and Y is glucagon. Question 1.1.4. Which one of the following is correct regarding the homeostatic control of the carbon dioxide concentration in the blood? A, the lungs have receptors. B, high oxygen levels is the stimulus. Or C, breathing muscles are the effectors. And D, the process is controlled by the cerebrum. The answer is C. Breathing muscles are the effectors. Question 1.1.5. The plant hormones that can be used to kill broad-leaved weeds are A, abscisic acid only, B, abscisic acid and gibberellins, C, auxins only, D, abscisic acid and auxins. The answer is C, auxins only. 1.1.6. A girl looking at a car moving away from her is able to focus on the letters on the number plate. Which one of the following changes occurs in her eyes? A, the suspensory ligaments slackened. B, the ciliary muscles relaxed. C, light rays were refracted more. D, the lens became more convex. The answer is B, the ciliary muscles relaxed. 1.1.7. One of the characteristics of a sperm that causes it to move faster is the A, oval-shaped head, B, the haploid nucleus, C, presence of enzymes in the acrosome, or D, the absence of a middle piece. The answer is A, oval-shaped head. 1.1.8. In a person suffering from long-sightedness, A, the eyeball is longer than normal. B, light rays fall behind the retina. C, light rays are refracted more by the lens. Or D, distant objects will appear blurred. The answer is B, light rays fall behind the retina. Question 1.1.9. The graph below shows the results of an investigation done to determine the effect of light intensity on the size of the pupil. Which one of the following statements is a conclusion that can be made from the results? A, as the distance from the light source increases, the size of the pupil increases. B, as the distance from the light source decreases, the size of the pupil increases. C, as the size of the pupil increases, the distance from the light source increases. Or D, as the size of the pupil decreases, the distance from the light source increases. The answer is A, as the distance from the light source increases, the size of the pupil increases. 1.1.10. The following is a list of events that occur in the female body. 1, puberty. 2, ovulation. 3, development of the corpus luteum. 4, oogenesis. And 5, thickening of the endometrium. Which one of the following is a combination of events that are influenced by LH, which is luteinizing hormone? The answer for that is C, point 2 and 3 only. Question 1.2. Give the correct biological term for each of the following descriptions. Write only the term next to the question numbers in the answer book. Here's where spelling is very important. 1.2.1. A reproductive strategy where the young receives nutrients through the placenta. The answer is vivipary. 1.2.2. The duct that transports semen and urine to the outside of the body. The answer is urethra. 1.2.3. The part of the nervous system that consists of cranial and spinal nerves. Peripheral nervous system. 1.2.4. The form in which excess glucose is stored in the liver. The answer is glycogen. 1.2.5. The structure that serves as a microfilter during pregnancy. The answer, placenta. 1.2.6. The pigmented layer of the eye that absorbs excess light. The answer, choroid. 1.2.7. The part of a neuron that plays a role in the speed at which a nerve impulse is transmitted. The myelin sheath. And 1.2.8. The part of the male reproductive system which temporarily stores sperm until they mature. The answer, epididymis. Next is 1.3. Indicate whether each of the descriptions in column 1 apply to A only, B only, both A and B, or none of the items in column 2. Write A only, B only, both A and B, or none next to the question numbers in the answer book. 1.3.1. A process that produces 4 mature gametes in humans from a single diploid cell. Does that apply to oogenesis and or spermatogenesis? The answer is B only, spermatogenesis. 1.3.2. A defense mechanism that protects plants against herbivores. Is it A, thorns, B, chemicals, both or none? The answer is both A and B, thorns and chemicals. 1.3.3. The nerve that transmits impulses from the retina to the brain. A, the optic nerve, or B, the auditory nerve. It's A only, the optic nerve. Question 1.4. 1.4.1. Identify part labeled B in the diagram. The answer is semicircular canal. 1.4.1 part B. Identify part E, and the answer is round window. Question 1.4.2. Give the letter and name of the part that is filled with air. D, eustachian tube. Remember to give both the letter and the name for this answer. And 1.4.2, part B, give the letter and name of the part that contains the organ of Corti. It's C, cochlea. 1.4.3, give the letter of the part A where grommets are inserted. We only need to write the letter F. And 1.4.3 part B, give the letter of the part that amplifies vibrations. The answer is the letter A. Question 1.5, pertaining to the diagram showing events that take place inside a human female body. 1.5.1, identify structure B. The answer is B, zygote. Identify structure D. The answer is D, morula. Identify structure E. The answer is E, blastocyst or blastula. Either are correct. Question 1.5.2. Name the process taking place at A. The answer is fertilization. Part B. Name the inner wall of the uterus where structure E implants? The answer is endometrium. 1.5.3, state the type of cell division that takes place at C. The answer is mitosis. 1.5.4, how many chromosomes are normally found in H? The answer is 23. 1.5.5, identify the extraembryonic membrane G. The answer is chorion. We move on to section B, question 2. Remember that you can start a new question on a new page, so you are welcome to start with section B if you prefer in your exam. Question 2, 2.1. In some frog species, during mating, the male climbs onto the back of the female and grasps her with his front legs. During this time, the female will release about 6,000 ova, while the male releases sperm onto them. This mating behavior is called amplexus. Question 2.1.1. Name the type of fertilization that occurs during reproduction in frogs. The answer is external fertilization. 2.1.2. Explain why the fertilized eggs of these frogs do not survive on land. The answer is the eggs will dry out because they have no shells and are not amniotic eggs or have no amnion. Question 2.1.3. Explain how amplexus increases the chances of fertilization in frogs. The male and female bodies are in close contact so that sperm can be released directly onto the ova, or many or up to 6,000 ova are released since fertilization is external. You're only required to give one answer. You may choose which one. Remember that they will always mark your first answer that's given. So first give the answer you feel best confident about or you feel you know the most. But if you're going to give a second, you're wasting your time. So don't spend time doing that in an exam because time is quite precious. 2.1.4. From the information above, explain one other strategy that contributes to the reproductive success of the frog species. Again, there are two options. Pick one. Many or up to 6,000 ova are released since fertilization is external, increasing the chance that some will be fertilized, or the male and female bodies are in close contact so that sperm can be released directly onto the ova. Pick one of those. Question 2.2. The diagram below represents the male reproductive system. 2.2.1. Name part A, the seminal vesicle, and name the hormone secreted by B, testosterone. Question 2.2.2. Explain one function of the fluid secreted by the prostate gland during reproduction. This question is worth 2 marks, but you're only asked for one function. Your choices are: it is alkaline to neutralize the acidic conditions of the vagina, or it contains mucus providing a medium to facilitate the movement of the sperm, or it contains nutrients to supply the sperm with energy. You only need to give one of those. Whichever one you supply will be marked correct. Question 2.2.3. Prostate cancer is one of the most common types of cancer among men. The table below shows the number of men per 100,000 men of different age groups that were diagnosed with prostate cancer in a certain country over a period of 14 years. I do apologize for the values on the table being a little out, so just be careful when you view this to make sure you line up the age group with the number of cases correctly. Part A, according to the table, which age group of men is most likely to develop prostate cancer? The answer is 70 to 74. Part B, draw a histogram to represent the data for men from the age group 60 to 64 to the age group 75 to 79. This question is worth 6 marks. Please note that they are not asking you to reproduce all of the age groups and all of the information. They only want those specific groups. So if you notice in the answer, there are only 4 groups drawn on the histogram. The first 2 are not there. Sorry, the first 3 are not there and the last one is not there. I've also included the criteria that they've used to mark the graph. You can see that there's the x-axis on the bottom and the y-axis is running vertically along on the side. Please have a look at that in detail and notice all of the naming and labeling, the heading of the table. If you don't give the information, you're not going to get marks. And if you overdo it and if you give too much information, then also they're not going to mark it. They don't want you to give the whole table in the graph format. They just want what they've asked for. So pay careful attention to this because it is worth 6 marks. It's a heavy question and you don't want to lose out by making careless or silly mistakes. Question 2.3. Read the extract below. Ovarian cysts in females. Ovarian cysts are fluid-filled structures that develop inside the ovaries of some women. The 2 most common types of cysts in women of reproductive age are follicular cysts and corpus luteum cysts. Follicular cysts develop when a Graafian follicle fails to rupture and release the ovum. The follicle continues to grow because of continued hormonal stimulation. A corpus luteum cyst develops when the corpus luteum does not degenerate, even when a person is not pregnant. Women often show no symptoms and the cysts disappear. But in rare cases, ovarian cysts keep on increasing in size. A very large cyst can cause intense pain and may rupture, leading to internal bleeding. Such cysts will require surgical removal. 2.3.1. From the extract, give, part A, 2 structures in the ovary that may develop into cysts. The answer is Graafian follicle and corpus luteum. Part B, 2 symptoms associated with very large cysts. The answer is intense pain, internal bleeding. Question 2.3.2. Name the hormone A responsible for the growth of the follicle under normal conditions. The answer is FSH. You don't have to write it out, but it's follicle stimulating hormone. Part B, name the hormone that will be high in concentration in the blood of women where follicular cysts develop, and the answer is estrogen. Question 2.3.3, give a reason for your answer to question 2.3.2 part B. The answer is the Graafian follicle keeps on producing estrogen and fails to rupture, or the increased secretion of estrogen stimulates the secretion of LH, which is luteinizing hormone. Question 2.3.4. Explain why a woman will not be able to fall pregnant if she has a corpus luteum cyst that does not disappear. This question is worth 5 marks, so you do need to give 5 facts. The answer, the corpus luteum does not degenerate and keeps on secreting progesterone. This will inhibit the pituitary gland from secreting FSH. Therefore, no follicle will develop and no ovulation will take place. Question 2.4. The diagram below represents part of the central nervous system of a human. Question 2.4.1. Identify A, part C, the answer is spinal cord, and B, gland E. The answer is pituitary gland or hypophysis. Question 2.4.2. Give the letter of the part that controls voluntary actions. The answer is A. 2.4.3. Describe the location of the corpus callosum. The answer is between the 2 hemispheres of the cerebrum. Question 2.4.4. A learner suffered a brain injury during a rugby match. He could still breathe properly, but he experienced occasional loss of memory and balance. Explain why A, the learner could still breathe properly. The answer is part D, medulla oblongata, which controls breathing, was not injured. 2.4.4 part B. Explain why it is possible that the injury affected part B. The learner occasionally lost balance due to no coordination of voluntary movements by part B. And question part C, explain why the hearing of the learner could also be affected because of the injury, and the answer is the loss of memory indicates a possible injury to A, the cerebrum, which is also responsible for hearing or the interpretation of sound. Question 2.5. The efficiency and speed of the knee-jerk reaction is very important for balance and movement. The stimulation of the patellar tendon just below the kneecap or patella causes the contraction and relaxation of the quadriceps muscle in the upper leg. The diagram below represents the reflex arc for the knee-jerk reaction containing only one synapse. The arrow indicates the transmission of nerve impulses. Question 2.5.1. What is a reflex action? The answer is a rapid involuntary automatic response to a stimulus. 2.5.2. State A, one reason why a synapse is significant. It ensures that the impulse is transmitted in one direction. And state part B, the importance of the knee-jerk reaction. It is important for balance and movement. Question 2.5.3. Describe the pathway of the impulse in this reflex arc to bring about the knee-jerk reaction. Note this question is for 5 marks, and the sequence that you answer in is very important due to the fact that this is an impulse flowing in a direction. So the answer is as follows. The impulse is transmitted from the receptors in the patellar tendon through the sensory neuron and the synapse to the motor neuron and to the quadricep muscles. Question 3.1. Read the extract below. Alzheimer's disease and exercise. Age and family history are the known risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. The most common symptom of Alzheimer's disease is a worsening ability to remember new information. Regular exercise may help to reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease because it can improve blood flow to the brain and help to maintain the volume of the hippocampus. The hippocampus is located deep inside the cerebrum and plays a major role in learning ability and orientation. Scientists conducted an investigation to determine if regular exercise reduces the risk of Alzheimer's disease in humans. They used 37 female participants between the ages of 65 and 75 in an exercise program. They used participants that did not show symptoms of Alzheimer's disease at the start of the investigation. They conducted the investigation 3 times a week for 3 months. The results showed an improvement in higher order thinking abilities and an increased blood flow to the cerebrum. Question 3.1.1. State one change in the nerve tissue of the brain that can cause Alzheimer's disease. The answer: degeneration or wasting away of nerve tissue, or plaque or proteins formed around the nerve tissue. You're only required to give one answer. 3.1.2. From the extract, state A, one symptom of Alzheimer's disease. The answer: worsening ability to remember new information. From the extract, state B, a generic risk factor. The answer is family history. And part C, 2 functions of the hippocampus. The answer is learning ability and orientation. Question 3.1.3. Name 2 factors that were considered when selecting the participants for this investigation. They were all females or considered gender. They were between the ages of 65 and 75, considered age group. They did not show symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Question 3.1.4. State 2 ways in which the scientists improved the reliability of their results. They used 37 participants. They conducted the investigation 3 times a week, and they conducted the investigation for 3 months. You only are required to give 2, and the first 2 that you give will be marked. 3.1.5. Explain why this investigation cannot be used to conclude that exercise reduces the risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. Investigation did not establish the relationship between exercise and the development of Alzheimer's disease, since no changes in the nervous tissue were measured. The period was short. Or there was no control group to show that it is the exercise that improves blood flow or higher order thinking abilities. or people who did not show symptoms of Alzheimer's disease were used. Therefore, results do not show prevention of development of Alzheimer's disease. You're only required to give one answer for those 2 marks. 3.1.6. From the extract, explain why it is expected that regular exercise can reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. The answer: exercise can improve blood flow to the brain, and it can maintain the volume of the hippocampus, which will prevent a decrease in higher order thinking or cognitive abilities or learning abilities. Question 3.2. The diagram below shows the location of the adrenal gland in the human body. 3.2.1. Identify A, organ X. The answer is kidney. And part B, the system to which the adrenal gland belongs. The answer, endocrine system. 3.2.2. State 2 characteristics of the type of glands that belong to the system identified in question 3.2.1b. The answer is it releases hormones directly into the blood and it is ductless. Question 3.2.3. Describe the interaction between the adrenal gland and organ X in maintaining homeostasis when salt levels in the blood are low. The answer: low salt levels are detected by receptor cells in the kidney. Adrenal glands are stimulated to secrete more aldosterone, which stimulates the renal tubules to be more permeable to salt. This increases the reabsorption of salt, and the salt levels in the blood increase or return back to normal. Question 3.2.4. Explain the effect that a secretion of the pituitary gland will have on organ X when a person experiences dehydration. The answer: the secretion of ADH will increase, which will increase the permeability of the renal tubules in X, so that more water is reabsorbed from the filtrate. Question 3.3. A 12-year-old boy participated in physical exercise for 45 minutes, followed by a 15-minute rest period. The skin temperature of the boy was measured and the results were recorded. The diagram below represents the skin of the boy before exercise. Then we have a graph. The graph below shows the changes in skin temperature over a period of time. Just study both images and all of the labels and values, numerical values, and then answer the following questions. 3.3.1. Name the A homeostatic mechanism that brings about the change in skin temperature. The answer is thermoregulation. And part B, name the part of the brain that is responsible for the mechanism named in question 3.3.1a. And the answer is hypothalamus. 3.3.2. From the diagram, identify the following parts. A, part P. The answer is sweat gland. And B, part Q. The answer is capillary or blood vessel. 3.3.3. Calculate the percentage decrease in the average skin temperature of the boy before and directly after exercise. Show all working. In the answer, we have the equation 37,4 minus 35,4 divided by 37,4, and that multiplied by 100 gives us 5.35%. Question 3.3.4. Explain the roles of part P and Q in the change in skin temperature from before exercise to directly after exercise. The answer: skin temperature decreased or lowered from 37,4 to 35,4 because part Q dilated or vasodilated, causing more blood to flow to the surface of the skin, and part P became more active, produced more sweat, causing more heat to be lost to the environment through evaporation, radiation, convection. 3.4. An investigation was done to determine the effect of auxins on the growth of lateral branches. The elongation of lateral buds results in the growth of lateral branches. The procedure was as follows. 4 potted plants, labeled A, B, C, and D, of the same species were used. Plant A was left untreated. The apical bud of plant B was removed. The apical bud of plant C was removed and replaced with agar jelly, which is a jelly-like substance through which other substances can diffuse. The apical bud of plant D was removed and replaced with agar jelly containing auxins. The plants were exposed to the same environmental conditions. The length of the lateral buds of each plant was measured at the beginning of the investigation and again after 3 weeks. The diagram below shows the setup of the investigation at the beginning. We then have the results as shown in the table below, plant A, B, C, and D. The length of the lateral buds was measured at the beginning, and then again after 3 weeks. We can see the values of the measurements in the table. 3.4.1, for this investigation, state the A, independent variable. The answer is presence, absence of auxins. And for this investigation, state part B, the dependent variable. The answer, growth of lateral branches. 3.4.2, explain why all the plants were exposed to the same environmental conditions. And the answer, to ensure that the results are caused only by the presence of auxins, which increases the validity of the investigation. 3.4.3, explain why agar without auxins was used in plant C. The answer, it acts as a control to show that the results of plant D are caused by the presence of auxins and not the agar jelly. 3.4.4, state a conclusion for this investigation. The presence of auxins slows down the growth of lateral branches, or the absence of auxins stimulated the growth of lateral branches. That concludes this paper 1 for Life Sciences grade 12.